Have a good day, everyone. Happy to have you on board for this webinar for the call for application number 3 for the startup support program. What we will do briefly, we'll explain very briefly ESRIC, the objective of ESRIC, and the commercialization program. So you all know more or less what ESRIC is doing. Is a European Space Resource Innovation Center. We have been created in 2022 with the Space Resources .lu initiatives in Luxembourg. And one of the points of this initiative is to have also a commercialization program. Of course, ESRIC is not only linked to commercialization. We have different other pillar segments. We have research and innovation, which is a very important one here in Luxembourg. We have a knowledge part. We have, of course, community part. And the objective of today is to talk about the ESRIC Startup Support Program, which is part of the commercialization departments. What is currently what are the activities what we are doing currently at ESRIC commercialization? There are different part of activities. We are running hackathons with our partner, the Technoport. Olivier can say a word eventually afterwards. We have the incubation program with the Technoport as well, which is a program which is in different phases. And we'll have in the future, we are working on an acceleration program, which is also another step of the incubation program. For the startup support program, it's important to know to all the applicants, or if we have objective to apply for a call for application in the future, we are running twice per year call for application. Currently, it's our 3rd call. So we already have some experiences. There are already some incubated projects. I can talk to you about that afterwards or in another session if needed. It's run in 3 phases. I will get back to that in details afterward as well. We have a phase 1, which is a 3 months in remote program. We have then after this phase 1, a 2nd phase, which is a in-person incubation program from 12 to 24 months. It will be run in Luxembourg within the Technoport. And we have a 3rd phase, which is an optional one, which is a business development phase. In terms of scope, I will get to that in detail afterward as well. It's for early stage ventures for space resource utilization. And I want to precise it's for a commercialization project. It's not for R&D. It's very important for different type of projects that we are not running here within the commercialization department on R&D projects. We are really running on something to faster your business activities. So that's why we are providing a support for commercialization activities. That's why it's called Startup Support Program. In terms of audience, the dual challenge we are targeting, it's really for technology providers that can have existing market application for terrestrial and or space applications. Here, we just provided some examples. We can have terrestrial application, but we can also have space application. We don't need to have terrestrial per se applications. If you are running Earth observation projects, it's a space application. It's not terrestrial one. Have some terrestrial application, but still. You can have cislunar application, and of course, in the frame of the ESRIC Startup Support Program and what we are doing in the field of space resources, then we have the ISRU part. That's really the project in terms of commercialization that we are running to develop. Just a second. As I said, in terms of program organization, it's run in 3 phases. That's very important that you understand it. You are currently applying for the phase 1 of the startup support program, which is a really concept proofing one. We call it pre-incubation. We will select 5 startups, 5 projects. You don't need to be as such. It's not an obligation. It's not mandatory to be a registered company. If you are PhD, postdoc, or just running a project independently with a team, I will get back to that, you are eligible to apply. We will select 5 startups and only for a period of 3 months. It's entirely in remote from all around the world. You are eligible to apply from all countries in the world. Then, out of the 5 startups which are in phase 1, only 1 will get selected for the phase 2. We are doing a business application proposal to be selected for the phase 2 that can go from 12 to 24 months or a little bit more to be discussed, of course. This is really a technical approach where we want to be sure that we validate with you a proof of concept or minimum viable products. And then the third phase, which is an optional one, it's not mandatory at all. It's post the incubation program. If you want to develop business development activities in Luxembourg at Technoport, you are more than welcome to apply for third phase. The key elements which are important to remind for all of you, the phase one, it's really a concept validation. You already start with something. Don't come from scratch in terms of R&D. We expect from you that you already have simulation IDs, already a proof of concept, a good idea in terms of research, what you are going to do. I just want to remind you all, I'm repeating a little bit there, we are not funding at the commercialization department an R&D project. We expect you already have some application and you have a project that you want to boost more or less. In the phase two, it's really a prototyping and a proof of concept testing approach where we provide a funding going up to 200,000 euro. I just want to remind that it's a unique program in the world in the field of space resources. And in terms of funding, you can develop a lot of things with the ESRIC Startup Support Program and with all of our partners. And of course, with the Technoport, which is a really business and technology incubation expert here in Luxembourg. And as I mentioned, the phase three, it's really focusing on pure and deep commercialization aspects. Just to repeat simply, in terms of outreach, it's a worldwide incubation program. You can apply from all around the world. I'm just showing some example of where people apply. There are people from India, there are people from US. It's not limited to that. We don't have a lot of persons from Africa, so I know that in South Africa there are a lot of good expertise as well. In South America as well, in Australia. So please, from all around the world, you are eligible to apply to the program. Even though we have a lot of US and European companies, we want to select all around the space resources value chain, different type of projects. Just to give you an example, it's not the scale, or it's not maybe not the right one, but it's just to point out the different countries that did apply for the SSP1 and the SSP2. You've seen there were two companies in the phase one that were pre-incubated. There were two projects from US, one project from Canada, two projects from Luxembourg, Germany, two from Poland, I have to say, one from Czech Republic and one from Switzerland. Just to remind you all that the one from the SSP1 that has been selected is from Poland. It's 4-point space. And the second one from the SSP2 recently announced, it's LITIGO space from Czech Republic. And of course, there could be people, there could be countries from all around the world. We are not targeting at all. I just want to repeat, in terms of outreach, we are focusing, it's a worldwide incubation program. In terms of process, how it works, that's very important and simple as well. You have an application phase. You can apply from today until the 30th of June. You are eligible to apply. There are different aspects I will cover later. You log into the platform, you provide some personal information, the business description, the scope of your project, and of course, to upload already your pitch deck. This is the one that we will run during the presentation if you are selected. We will review the eligibility criteria, we'll review your application, we'll do a first pre-selection with a potential Q&A to improve your application, and then you will receive an invitation to pitch. Then you have the pitching session, the Q&A, and then you are selected or not to be part of the phase one of the ESRIC Startup Support Program. Again, I repeat, it will be a purely remote program. You can come if you want to, but I think the most important is that we're doing in remote. It's simpler for everyone. You don't have to move if you are all around the world. We will accommodate to have meetings that's convenient for all of us, for all the participants. Olivier, do you maybe want to say a word regarding the target and the support objectives?
Sure, Larry, and thank you for the previous description. I do believe that this is very clear for everybody of the purpose of the program. And allow me a quick intro word as a technology business incubator, how we are having an operational framework thanks to ESRIC and with the different department of ESRIC that you pointed out, Larry. Yes, we are about commercialization, but we are about project maturation. And this is why currently that pre-incubation phase is crucial. And you presented also the prior activities that the overall program itself is covering, such as hackathons, for example. What I want to share currently now as a technology business incubator operator, that the program is an opportunity to mature technological assets proposal. What do I mean by that? Larry pointed out that currently you as players submitting an application, you are technology providers. And thanks to ESRIC, I believe ESRIC is that player today who's the integrator of SRU value chain. Yes, this is what does happen within that program. And I highly recommend currently to all applicants, future applicants, to consider checking the esrec.lu website, where you can have in each of the calls the previous participants of the pre-incubation program, which gives concrete example what these companies, these early stage ventures, some of them not incorporated, currently integrated the program to mature the two elements that you are seeing here, the technology readiness level and the commercial readiness level. The point of the application is to be able to fix with you what's your current initial status. It's not a matter if your 1 or 2 is low, is of an issue. The program is to work within the pre-incubation phase. What's the maturation phase? How can you get to higher commercial readiness? Or how can you get through quick technological readiness? And by the way, I like the plotting Larry has just put on the different startups. For example, the green box you are seeing is qualifying a cluster of companies who has a given cross commercial readiness level and technology readiness level. And the interesting element through the ESRIC value chain, if I can put it that way, you work among clusters with others. This is how it happens into space tech. You mature your company with other companies, exchanging with experts, and the mission statement of ESRIC is to bring currently your technological venture to a higher state of maturity, where you're saying currently the blue arrow, bringing you to the second layer of maturity. We are speaking about technological maturity, commercial maturity, under operational terms. This means administrative maturity, where a company is able to answer to any governmental bodies or RFQs, any CVC, corporate venture capital exchange, and speaking about which type of commercial terms you can have with such parties. And believe me, what's why Larry pointed out he's in Colorado currently. He's the one being able to match you with all these parties. So under a nutshell, we are here within this program working on different layers of maturity levels to bring your early stage venture at a higher level of maturity to cooperate, whether with private or public companies. Thank you, Larry, for giving me room on that area.
No, sure, of course. Thank you for sharing information about the ESRIC website. You are doing better than I'm doing myself. How we will organize during the first, concretely, they will have different, I would say, deliverables that we'll do during the 3 months. There will be business deliverables, there will be technical deliverables, and there will be PR, communication deliverables. All three are very important. We focus more on the business one because, again, I want just to point out that we are not promoting R&D activities. It's important part, true. You will develop R&D with different technological experts, but we want that you already have some concepts, well-developed concept, and not projects from scratch. That's why we are pushing a commercialization approach. So there will be different approaches. So for the business, we will develop competition overview, market overview. We will try to assess in the beginning a formalized business plan, identify your business risks. And of course, then we will go to the technical deliverables. What we will just try to do is to validate a technical concept with you. That's very important because that's the next step, as Olivier has just pointed out right now. It's a key element for public or governmental proposal procurement. That's very important. And then, of course, there will be strategic and communication deliverables. We will develop products and company fact sheets. You will have a concept teaser video, and you will have, I would say, a brochure, what we call mainly an investor partners deck, to promote your activities around the program. This is mainly for the organization, how it will be run. It's a 12 weeks, 3 months program. There will be different activities. every time run in 2 weeks. This is a really program developed with our partners, the Technoport. That's really the approach of doing an incubation program. So we are strictly following their expertise in that way. I will share with you afterward, but you will see there are really technology, I would say, aspects that we will consider during the pre-incubation program. There will be commercial business one. Of course, there will be communication one in terms of PR. And of course, the last 2 weeks we'll be focusing on applying for the phase 2 of the application. We really want that this, how can I say this proposal that you will write for the phase 2 will help define your future next steps for the program, for the phase 2. That's very important. And we prefer having these 2 weeks working with you and ensuring that all those aspects are covered during this program. Again, just to give you more detail, it's how we organize ourselves during the 12 weeks program. We have, of course, a kickoff meeting with all the experts. The right date is not announced yet, but will be done in the coming weeks. Focus first on the application, that's very important. Then we have different packages that are covered. We are again leveraging on Technoport expertise in that way. And we will work with a lot of experts from all around the world and having, of course, different sets of expertise. People from Corral School of Mine, from ESA, from LIST, Luxembourg Institute of Science and Technology. In terms of business support, you will deeply be involved with Helix Space, Black Swan, depending on the aspect that we will cover. For IP aspects, you will work with Arendt and Temislex, our different experts here in Luxembourg. And to define your teaser video, you will be involved with Spearlights. And of course, there will be plenty of other expertise that will be shared based on what you're currently doing, what's your current project. Technoport and ESRIC will look for the right experts to be able to properly assess and work with you in terms of technology. Just to give you a small overview of the different applications we had for the first call and second call, that's mainly to give you an overview of the countries that did apply. You see that there are applications from different countries, and that's very important because we are open. We are a unique program, I would say, an incubation program from all around the world. So you are all eligible to apply in terms of location. This is not a constraint at all. So we really want that you develop a project. Of course, for the phase 2, as I mentioned, you will have to be located in Luxembourg. That's why the team, the structure, the real approach that you expected to develop during the second phase is key. That's why this business application proposal for phase 2 is key for the Technoport, our partner. So for commercialization aspects, we are really relying on their expertise on that. And as I said, the 2 companies that have been incubated right now, it's 4 Point Space from Poland. They're doing autonomous transport systems, having terrestrial application and lunar application. And the second one from the SP2, we have Lari Cujko Space from Czech Republic. They are using LIPS, laser-induced breakdown technology for materials detection using different type of technology, not really remote sensor, but sensor that can be mounted on different rovers to detect resources, materials, and their composition. So for characterization of resources, this is a key partner for us because I will get back to that just afterward. All around the space value chain, those different players are extremely complementary. And that's, in terms of scope, is very important. I just want to point out the SSP2 space resource value chain. That's really the scope you should apply for. If your scope is Earth observation, it's not in scope. You really have an objective of space resource utilization. Can be prospecting activities, establishment activities, or what you see here from excavation to manufacturing. That's really the primary activities of the space resource value chain. Then you have secondary or transversal activities like transportation is a key. Having robotics, autonomous robotics on the surface of the moon is key. Waste management, recycling, entering in the scope of sustainability. That's very important. And if you remember, for those who were involved in the hackathon recently that we ran with the Technoport, the sustainability is a key aspect nowadays. Might be for terrestrial application, for open cast mines, for example, or for lunar activities. Communication and system navigation, robotic system, and of course, power and energy. What we'll assess during your application? That's a point that you need to consider. It's very important. First, you have to meet the requirements. Secondly, your project proposal relevancy. It's an executive summary. Sorry, I will make it simple. Don't write a book, explain what you are doing. 1, 2, 3 sentences, it's enough. I will say it's very funny way. Be clear. What's your project? What's your time frame? Do you want to develop it in 1, 2 months, 1, 2 years, 3, 5 years, 5, 10 years? Have a clear view on what you are doing. Don't write papers. Sorry for my fellow scientists. It's not a paper. It's a business application proposal. We will assess the quality of your technology description. Again, it's a phase 1 program. We want technology description. We know, we understand that you will not have, or maybe not yet, the owner of the full technology. For the one joining, if you can mute, please, that will be greatly appreciated. The quality of the business landscape, provide us where you are located, who are the competitors, what's your market. Of course, we will refine that during the pre-incubation phase with our expert and with the Technoport. The R&D roadmap, that's very important. The quality of the proposed project planning and its execution. It's true that it's a key element for the phase 2 of the program, but even in phase 1, if you have a clear idea, it will be simpler for you to get in phase 2. I will not neglect the 6th point, which is the quality of the team. If you are alone, you will not be selected. You need a team. That's very important. A concrete team, a valuable team. I would say usually I like to propose, but again, it can change, having a scientist, having engineers, and having business developers. It's very important that you have a structured team, someone that will do. I mean, the idea is that you have a clear view on what you will structure your team. And of course, the quality of the presentation and the Q&A. That's very important as well. We will rate from different, I would say, scores from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. I don't want, Olivier, if you want to add and point out something here, because I know that the Technoport, you are very keen to have a good overview about those criteria assessments.
Thank you, Larry, for that. But you gave currently the clear wrap-up under my science, given the 7 factors we are seeing here. It's very clear that we want to understand the confidence rate of a project bearer, meaning all the elements here of inputs that would build a shared confidence rate about the applicant wants to run a validation of how the proposal can go further and reach other partners. The key point for me, and you repeated it, Larry, is that it's project compatibility to other ongoing ventures, which are B2G, business to government, and B2B.
Perfect. Thank you, Olivier. And finally, if you want to apply, the eligibility are simple. Do you have a space resource utilization scope? If you have less than 5 years in cooperation, if you have a midterm sustainable business, if you have an ID, again, that's why we are focusing on terrestrial existing market. That's very important. That's why we want you to have entrepreneurial and innovative consolidated aims. That's very important aspect that we consider. A second. If you expect to run a business from Luxembourg in the second phase, again, in phase 1, you can be in remote from all around the world. But to be eligible for the second phase and get the 200,000 funding, you will have to be located in Luxembourg in the Technoport. You can apply to ESRIC. Ladies and gentlemen, different projects all around the world, you are all eligible to apply for the Startup Support Program. And we have this 3rd call, which is open until the end of June 2023. It will be 11:59 p.m. CET. We might extend for some circumstances in case it happens, if there is a need. But globally, and to finalize, what we are trying to do right now, we want to be a commercial gateway toward the moon, providing different aspects. We want that when you apply to the ESRIC Startup Support Program, you benefit from 2 years business incubation at ESRIC. And what I didn't precise is at Technoport, to be more precise. Sorry, Olivier. You will be incubated with real experts. ESRIC will share technology in the field of ISRU, but all the business and technology deep space knowledge will be shared with the Technoport and their portfolio of partners in the space field and different other fields. You will get technical support. You will get business support. You will get legal and IP advice. Of course, you will have access to different business partners, capabilities, labs, networks. You will get fundraising guidance with our experts. Of course, you will be eligible to workshops and trainings. And maybe not the most important one, but of course, put it at the end, but it's not really the most, I would say, 200,000 of funding. I'm saying it's not the most important in the sense that if you have a real project, funding will come. That's why having those fundraising guidance is even more important. We want that those 200,000 help you to trigger some different aspect to reach different type of project. It's not with 200,000 that you will reach the surface of the moon for sure, but it's a real trigger for investors, VCs, and other type of funding schemes. Of course, we have the third SSP, which will be open until the end of June. But don't forget, we also have the next call for application that will be open in Q4 2023. So for that, if you have questions, remarks, comments, please do not hesitate. We are here for that. And we will share, I think that Delia will share the presentation on our website. And if you have deeper questions, we can eventually reorganize another one in 2 or 3 weeks if it's necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. So if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat, or you can raise your hand and speak them out directly. Don't be shy. Oh, please, Hassan, you have a question? Go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. I want to ask about how can we get some of case studies that presented before from another project, like successful case study? Is it available for maybe check or like be a model when we plan our project?
Hassan, I'm very sorry. I have a very maybe poor connection. Do you hear better, Olivier?
Yes, I think I can answer, Hassan. I get clearly your question, Hassan, in terms of model. That's why currently I was highly recommending, go to the ESRIC website into the commercialization area. You will see the companies who have already, who get currently into the pre-incubation program. You will see the teaser video. You will see the way they do express currently their technology business proposal, and you can go to the website of the companies, which will give you a higher detail who they are. And currently, if you track these elements, you will have the model. And the model of application you have online is very, very didactic. You have an information area for each of the question to receive tips. This is very, very straightforward, Hassan. And if you have any question when applying, given a question, you can just shoot us an email and we will answer to you. I hope that does answer to your query, Hassan.
Thank you very much. Excellent.
Most welcome.
I have posted in the chat the links to the first call and the second call, so you can click and directly.
Thank you, Delia.
And we have a question from Thomas. You had mentioned you would detail more regarding the group of individuals applying. So perhaps, Larry, would you?
Yes, what I was saying is that you can be an individual. You don't have to have a registered company to apply. What we have noticed that's true that projects which are already incorporated have already something. It's more simpler for them to reach the different approaches and at the different aspects of the business of the BAP, I would say. But you are eligible to apply. Yes, it's just that if you are alone in single project, you will not get selected because running a project, running a company when you are alone, it doesn't work. Personally, we consider that through our experience, what we have seen, it's more complicated and you cannot cover the different aspects. You cannot cover, I would say, administrative aspect, research aspect, engineering aspect, and commercialization. You need to have a team. So I think we consider that a team of minimum 3 persons, having concrete set of roles within a project, it's something more acceptable than having a unique person. I don't know if it was your question, but please, if I'm not clear in my response, you can add. More or less, you are eligible, yes. You don't need to be registered, yes. But I think that to increase your chances to be selected, you need to apply with a team. You cannot run a project like this alone. It's not
Of
going to work.
course. And regarding the fact that we can apply as a group of individuals versus we can apply as a company, of course, as a company, there would be measurable, definite advantages of, applying as a group of individuals. So when we are evaluated, is there a different set of criteria we would be evaluated on, or would it be still the same criteria? Because we would obviously be at a disadvantage, when we apply as a group of individuals.
We are not evaluating individuals. We are evaluating assessing a project, but a project is made from different individuals. It's not an academic, I would say, project in the sense that we look who did which project, who did which chapter, to make it simpler. We are really saying who is part. You will have different expertise. One will be technology lead, one will be your business lead, and so on. You work in it. I mean, working in a team, it's part of a big project of a big company. The CEO is not running the project alone.
Obviously, yes.
And that's the point. No,
but
the idea.
I mean, in terms of the proposal. So when we submit the proposal, would it be measured with a different set of criteria if we submit it as a startup versus, when we apply it as a group of people, putting it together?
I can answer to that, Larry. Currently, having an entity, a legal registered entity, doesn't make any difference. You are evaluated on the same criteria. Having a legal entity, which means this means that indeed, where you go to phase 2, you will need to be a company, to be a big company, because we cannot allocate the grant to an individual or a group of individuals. You need to allocate it to a commercial body. But on the previous phase, which is the pre-incubation, you need a team. You need a team, as Larry was pointing out. Why? Because also continuity factor, meaning, unfortunately, fate is what it is. You must be at least 2 or better 3 or even more when you run such type of venture, because then we have confidence in time that your proposal will be stable only for that.
Okay, I think that's clear. Thank you.
Osman, welcome.
Again, for information, you can look on the presentation of the different projects that have been pre-incubated already. There are 10 of them. You can have a look. Somewhere individuals, true. It's more complex, more difficult. But again, you can have a look and you will see that most of the applicants were not run by a single person.
Of course. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, we have another question and a comment. Let's start with the question. I understood that we had until the end of the month to apply, but once the 5 projects will be selected, will be the start of phase 1. It's from Thomas.
Very good question. This is something that we didn't mention. Indeed, the project will start from the 15th of September for the pre-incubation and then 3 months until the 15th of December. And I can already say that for the SSP4, so we'll run it on a recurrent basis. Every incubation programs will be from 15th of September to 15th of December and from 1st February to end of April.
This is a great question. Yeah, please, Larry, continue. And
no. Indeed, this is a very important question, because for logistic matters, for your own organization, it's very important, indeed.
Because indeed, it's much demanding, as Larry was pointing out. We are going to unfold a set of tasks, a set of work packages, which will allow you currently to better valorize your technology business proposal per se, meaning the work under the 3 months. And I think you can check it, not to repeat again. And thank you, Delia, for sending the links. When you see that currently the companies who publish their portfolio through the ESRIC integrator website, you see the quality that it's B2B ready relation. And I do believe this is the fruitful part of this pre-incubation program. It de facto brings value to your technology business proposal.
Thank you very much, Olivier and Larry. We have a comment from Aisha. that the list of participants is not visible. It's a privacy matter, but I understand that it would be very nice to have the community. So if you wish to stay in touch, you can type your email address in the chat and your name, and we can put you in contact with everyone.
And maybe if you have some question, you can still try to reach 4 Point, you can reach Litigo, you can try to reach different all the pre-incubated projects. You have the contact. If it can help, sometimes we can exchange some tips with real entrepreneurs that can always be helpful as well, because they applied to the program. That doesn't mean they will respond because they're highly busy, but I guess they will for sure. I hope it responds to your question.
Two questions. Okay, so from Igal, we have on the website the top ranking projects will be presented during a pitching session to an expert panel at the end of the year. Do I understand that the schedule was amended? Do you?
In fact, the projects. Okay, depending on what exactly you mean here, there will be presentation. The pitching session will be presented to what we call a tender board. There will be different experts from the Technoport, from European Space Agency, from Luxembourg Space Agency, from ESRIC, from the Luxembourg Institute of Science and Technology. You will pitch in front of them. So they will evaluate independently based on different criteria. Everyone has a set of expertise. And at the end, it doesn't mean that this is the best project as such per se. It's different to mention because, as you have seen, the space resources value chain, it's not the best project. It's the project we believe there is the most, how can I say, potentials for a second phase. That doesn't mean you are not winning or that you are the winner. Is that you are selected with a case that fits better what you can do in a short term with the potential 200,000 euro. Does it respond to your question? Vitaly, efficiency, durability, innovation, all key factors that must be kept in mind when developing a new product. Yes, of course. What we expect that when you have your kind of proof of concept is that you have some clear, I would say, IDs, requirements, or elements for depending on what you are doing. For example, if you are, I don't know, I take the example, an excavator or processor, you need to know your timing of processing, how much surface you can excavate. Those are the elements that we require. So the efficiency is important, the durability as well. We expect that you already have some indexes for your project. It's a key word. I know that having right indexes is extremely important, and that's what we expect. Innovation, yes and no. Yes, there are research and innovation, but it doesn't necessarily need to be innovative. If it is, it's good, but you can also rely on some state-of-the-art existing technologies that you will just refine a little bit. The participants are open in LinkedIn.
Okay, thank you, Larry. If you don't have any more questions, we will publish this webinar on YouTube, so you can rewatch it. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to anyone in this panel. Is there any other?
Again, don't hesitate if you have questions. There are no stupid questions. So sorry, do not hesitate at all. It's clear. It's simpler when you are here. You are the real applicants. You are the future entrepreneurs. It's challenging, of course. So do not hesitate. Any type of question, it's more than welcome. You can write us. You can send us direct emails. We will respond. It might take some time. Sorry for that. Because we have different applications from all around the world. It takes some time for presenting LinkedIn. Hassan, we will share it as soon as we publish it. Delia will send the information, and you can also visit. The best way is to visit the ESRIC.lu website, and that's it. I have another question from yes.
Yeah, Thomas.
You're muted.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to understand the expectations of ESRIC in this particular call, especially from the technical and the commercial angle. What is the minimum threshold at which you are expecting from a solution? The minimum technical or a commercial threshold that you're expecting at the phase 1 submission?
Do you want to respond, Olivier? I know it's your favorite.
Yeah, for sure. You can even be between 0 and 1. The thing is about feasibility.
Okay.
You can be high, you can be at 6, but within the wall, because there's no way to demonstrate it. And as Larry was pointing out, the challenge is to know how you are going to run potential terrestrial activities. How is it sustainable within space? So it can be low. Being high is not giving you higher value. It's the potential of match within the value chain. And that's why I was repeating much of the time, ESRIC as the integrator, I mean it. You have you have Emmanuel Scolan, for example, who was here, who still sits here. You have much expert within that value chain, and I think it's more about this impact that your product or your proposal can create within that existing value chain with terrestrial sustainability.
Okay, I'm clear. Thank you.
And again, maybe to add a small point, that you will have different type of experts from all around the world, but you will also closely work with ESRIC experts in different fields. You have Emmanuel Scolan, which is present here in terms of material science. He has a lot to share. He's also very well informed of the community, what's happening in the field, so he can help you assess with you as well what can be feasible. You will work with lunar geologists and different type of experts in terms of water and oxygen extraction, in terms of technology experts. Just our CEO currently, Ms. Catherine Hadler, who is expert in beneficiation. If you have a beneficiation project, you might be confronted with her directly, which is good. So you will have worldwide expert directly present with you. For the technology part, of course, there are business aspects that will be considered with other partners, and that's a key element that we want to precise as well. Thank you, Olivier. That's also important to mention. Any other questions? We have 6 minutes left, but if no questions, we can. I know it's late in Europe, at least.
Okay, just one more question from Derek.
Thank you for the question. It's very clear. There is no R&D support at all, in the sense that for the phase 1, it's a pre-incubation program that we will assess the feasibility of your project. That's why we're running that in 3 months, because it takes some time. You will work with experts. The type of support you will get, it's being linked to real partners that you will assess, challenge you, work with you. They will not develop your R&D, but because we are a commercialization project, we are not an R&D project. You know, ESRIC, as I mentioned, there is a research and innovation part. There is also a commercialization part. We are in the commercialization. We expect that you already have some aspects, at least in terms of technology, in terms of research potentials, might be simulations simply, and that might be okay, but we are not funding anything during phase 1 in terms of R&D. First, because it's during the phase 1, you will get entitled of support, having teaser video, having brochures, being introduced to experts from ESA, from experts from the Corral School of Mines, for example, for different type of universities, with different experts, independent experts in their fields. Yes, but as such, there is no funding. Are you expecting something else? Maybe if it's not clear, do not hesitate to elaborate, or you can ask the question directly. No worries at all.
Currently, if I can quickly add on that, yes, Derek, you're not going to receive R&D support to mature your project, but the extent that you're asking in, currently the expert will stress your specification of what you want to develop in phase 2. And this is the R&D support, is how your R&D plan is sustainable regarding currently the customers or end users performance criteria, and what is possibly being able to develop under 200K or more, 200,000 euros or more if you're having private investors. This is the extent of R&D description that we work on.
Thank you for precising. Hassan, there is no template as such. There is the link. You can connect to the link, follow the steps. It's a simple application process where if you have seen the requirement I have put, it's really like that. It's a little bit more elaborated. We ask you to state what's your current TRL and CRL. At this stage, we will not test it in the sense that we will rely on what you are saying. Don't say 6 because it's easy to understand that you're not 6, that you're in another level. It's easy to understand. Be clear what you think. Saying it correctly is not important because you can, maybe you really think you consider it's 4, but the idea is to refine and to be sure that it correctly, properly define where you stand. And the CRL, the commercial readiness level, it's also very important. The idea is that we work during this phase 1 with our experts to properly move, if you remember that what Olivier has mentioned, from the first phase to the second phase, so increasing your TRL and your CRL. I mean, if you come with a CRL of, let's say, 7, 8, you are not for sure eligible for the program. You don't need us. You can run all business and commercial activities by yourself.
Thank you, Larry. And you won't be underrated because you have a low TRL. Again, it's the potential that lies within your project which counts.
And for everyone, for every applicant, it's a point that we have noticed as well, and I should maybe add it in the next webinar. Don't underestimate the effort needed at all. You will at least need 30 to 40 man days working effort during those 3 months that you can split within your team, of course, but the effort will be significant. You will have weekly meetings. We will review your deliverables in a good way. When we challenge it, it's not to give a score. It's for you at the end. You will have an asset after the program. We don't take any. Again, they're not taking any stake in your project at the end in the phase 2. You remain the owner of your own IP. So don't underestimate the workload during the phase 1. Consider at least 30 days of full effort. That means one day every 2 days. Don't underestimate that. So if you have a job, that's having a team, it's very important. You can apply if you have another job. That's clear. We already had some applicants that were running an activity. They want to be entrepreneur and so on. That's very appreciated because that we want people who want to develop activities, who have expertise and so on. But it's a big effort.
Okay, we have one more question.
Yes.
If team members have to be co-founders or can be employees of the
Both.
start?
Look, for example, for 4-point team, there are different co-founders and they have a big team as well. Do not hesitate. 4-point PL, their website, can have a look. Okay, they're a big team because they developed by themselves. They have different type of activities. You have also Litigo space. You can have a look because they're pre-incubated. Gives you an overview of the size of the project. That doesn't mean all the projects need to have that size. You can be 3, 4. That's okay. It's just that we faced the situation that they were the perfect match of what we're currently developing. That's it.
Okay, maybe we take one final question from Thomas,
Yes.
typing, and then we can. We leave you space to apply for the program.
You can talk if it's simpler, Thomas. No worries. You feel the pressure right now, right? In between, if anyone has other questions, again, you can send emails. We might even organize another session if needed and if required. No worries at all. Oh, I get your question. Again, what do you mean by advisory board? Are they going to be involved? We have seen sometimes in advisory board. Yes and no. To be honest, I prefer an operational team than an advisory board. But that's we don't take that into account, saying, okay, you're working with, because advisory board, you can put a lot of person, and at the end, how active they are in the project. At the end, they're not doing anything. It's just to avoid, and that doesn't mean all projects are like that, but you can look for a lot of websites. You will see a lot of advisory board, but sometimes reaching them, they're highly skilled person involved in different boards, and they don't have the time to. So we cannot assess that. It's difficult to assess how the advisory board is deeply involved. If they're working with you, you can always mention that. Let's be honest, yes. But I think having a better operational team worth more, at least for the pre-incubation program, and even for the incubation program, having 2, 3, 4 person deeply operational one present that are doing prototyping and testing, it's more valuable sometimes. That doesn't mean that their knowledge from your advisory board is not important. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I think if you are alone, and if you have 5-person advisory board, can still be challenging. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It was great. We will see if there are other questions, if there is another need to organize another session or not, but please share your questions, do not hesitate. If for the application, you can have a look, you can pre-register, you don't have to submit, have a look on the questions, what's expected, prepare yourself. It's better, don't do that the last day. It doesn't work because you need a pitch. You will need to have everything prepared when you apply. So have a look, start doing that properly. Don't write books, 2, 3, 4 sentences which are clear. It's sometimes really more appreciated, because if you understand your project simply, sometimes it even helps us. We are a panel. Sometimes it's not easy for us as well to understand your project, because you are innovators, you are entrepreneurs, you know your project. We are not supposed to know what you are doing because it's difficult, it's complex. You are the real experts. So do not hesitate to simplify your work as well.